Well, it's good to have you with us at this hour. I'm Daniel Che. Our top story, South Korea will announce a new set of sanctions on North Korea sometime this week. This follows the UN sanctions resolution against the regime. Collectively, the sanctions are considered the toughest measures that have ever been imposed on Pyongyang. Our Kwon Jang-ho starts us off.
The South Korean government is ready to reveal a new set of sanctions on North Korea in the coming days. A government official told Seoul-based Yonhap News on Sunday the new measures will include an entry ban on all ships from any country that travel through North Korean waters. Organizations and individuals known to be working with the regime to help develop its weapons program will also be added to existing South Korea and UN blacklists. The official said the UN resolution will be the basis for the new measures, but there are more being considered. One current enterprise that could be affected is a trilateral shipping project involving the two Koreas and Russia. Under the Najin-Hasan project, coal and other items were shipped from Russia to South Korea via the North Korean port city of Najin. Earlier on Sunday, South Korea's foreign minister said the government will consult Russia on the matter, but how the new measures will affect the project is unclear. South Korea already has a number of sanctions in place. Most trade with the regime, tourism and private aid were banned in 2010 after the sinking of the South Korean warship Cheonan, which killed 46 people. The joint industrial complex in Kaesong, seen as the last symbol of economic cooperation between the two Koreas, was also closed by the South last month after the North launched a long-range missile. The new expected measures are some of the last steps South Korea can take to pressure North Korea to stop its provocations and give up its nuclear weapons. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
South Korea and the United States will kick off their largest ever annual military exercises on Monday, sending a clear signal to North Korea that the allies are ready for any provocations. The key resolve in full legal will involve 290,000 South Korean and 15,000 U.S. troops. The drills held until the end of April is designed with various scenarios in mind, including a preemptive strike on North Korea's nuclear facilities and missile sites. The U.S. has deployed some key military hardware to the peninsula for the exercises, including B-2 stealth bombers and nuclear submarines. The regularly held combined drills have raised tensions on the peninsula in the past, with the communist state calling it a rehearsal for a northward invasion. Seoul and Washington, however, maintain the joint exercises are purely defensive in nature. Also, the two allies have vowed to strengthen their cooperation against cyber attacks. The Ministry of Science, ICT and Future Planning said the Seoul and Washington are aiming to devise cybersecurity policies and develop related technology through regular meetings between leaders in the field. South Korea plans to benchmark the U.S. National Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Center to create a control tower, that is, for cybersecurity. Seoul has raised its alert level for cyber attacks from Pyongyang amid growing threats following the North's fourth nuclear test earlier this year. The reclusive regime launched a cyber attack against the South after its second nuclear test in 2009 and hacked South Korean media outlets after its third nuclear test back in 2013. Here's the latest on the ongoing Lotte family feud. Shin Dongbin cements his grip on the group after shareholders of Tokyo-based Lotte Holdings, which controls South Korea's fifth largest conglomerate, voted to keep the incumbent chairman in his current position. During the meeting in Tokyo, shareholders rejected the request made by Shin's elder brother Dong-ju to dismiss his younger brother from the company's board of directors. And to Dong-ju's claims his father Shin Gyuk-ho handpicked him as his successor, Dongbin says the 94-year-old founder of the group is unable to make reasonable judgments due to mental health problems. The elder brother was stripped of his executive titles at three of Lotte's Japanese affiliates in early 2015 and has been struggling to claw his way back up the ladder. A major Korean business lobbying group says it's no surprise the local economy is suffering from a long-term recession, as key economic indicators have been giving up warning signs after dropping for years. For details, let's turn to our Kim Ji-yeon.
The Federation of Korean Industries has pointed to several key economic indicators that have triggered a recession in the local economy. Declining exports, which have been on a downward slide for the past 14 months, are one of the key indicators. The unit price of exports fell for the first time in January since it was first recorded in 1988. The Federation says the rate of increase for exports is declining as well. The rate slowed down into the 7% range since 2010 after hovering in the 10% range during the 1980s. On the supply side, production is also slowing. Last year, business activity in the manufacturing sector was lower than it was in the year after the global financial crisis in 2009. On the demand side, the Federation says domestic consumption by private entities and individuals, which accounts for half of Korea's GDP, remains sluggish. The rate of increase for private consumption in Korea was 2% after 2012, less than half of that recorded in 2007. The Federation also points to the shrinking Korean population as a major factor straining the local economy. The number of Koreans aged 15 to 64 is expected to decline for the first time next year. To turn the tide, the Federation says structural reforms and finding new growth engines are vital. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
We now turn our focus to the race for the White House. It's rare, but it happens. Ted Cruz enjoyed a super Saturday by beating Donald Trump in upset victories in Kansas and Maine. Though Trump collected 2 wins in Kentucky and Louisiana, reports say the Texas senator nearly upset Trump in both states as well. In the war for Republican nomination, the scales are still tipped heavily in favor of the real estate mogul, despite a recent plea by former Republican candidate Mitt Romney imploring voters to support anyone but Trump. On the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders won victories in Kansas and Nebraska that could offer him a boost after he was overshadowed by Hillary Clinton on Super Tuesday. But the former Secretary of State won the delegate reach Louisiana, further cementing her lead. All of the candidates will face major battles in crucial primaries in Michigan, Ohio, and Florida over the coming weeks. A pregnant woman in Brazil who has never traveled abroad has been infected by the Zika virus. According to Brazil's state-run news agency, Sao Paulo health authorities report that a 28-year-old resident of the city who is 30 weeks pregnant has contracted the disease, though they don't yet know how. She has not left Sao Paulo since she found out she was pregnant. An initial ultrasound scan showed her baby is not showing any symptoms of microcephaly, which has been linked to birth defects, but the mother has been hospitalized for further testing. The Sao Paulo government says it is doing all it can to stop the spread of Zika, including preventing mosquitoes from breeding. With some 13,000 refugees stuck on Greece's border with Macedonia, a regional governor in northern Greece has called for a state of emergency to be declared. He says Greece is unable to continue providing the migrants with the support they need. Migrants, most of whom are fleeing conflict in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, have entered Greece illegally by sea from Turkey and are seeking asylum in other EU states to the north. But many have gotten stranded around the Idomeni border crossing and are now living in flimsy tents. The governor also called on Macedonia to open its borders immediately as thousands of new refugees are registered in Greece daily. The EU plans to allocate some $325 million to help EU states deal with the refugee situation and will hold a summit with Turkey in Brussels on Monday over that matter. Shifting gears to a different story now, public interest has been growing in Korea over more effective use of unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. The devices are being eyed for various capabilities beyond recreational use. Our OCN reports on how the government is even looking at them as the future of emergency response systems.
Many organisations and large businesses are taking note of the high-flying commercial potential. In the past, drones were only used in niche markets, such as the military. However, with the latest technological developments, their potential in the business industry is widely being acknowledged. The South Korean government is performing various kinds of test operations to make use of the drones in various industries. It started off by using the vehicle as a means to detect and extinguish early-stage forest fires. It takes a video of the scene of the accident, sprays extinguishers on the area, and even drops relief supplies to victims.
Through a reconnaissance flight, we can detect the location of a forest fire. We enter the coordinates in a drone, which flies to the area. It could efficiently extinguish a fire even in inaccessible remote areas.
The government has already designated 5 areas in the country, including Jeonju, Busan and Daegu as drone flying zones, after considering their regional characteristics and benefits. It plans to develop the use of these drones for the next 2 years and make it possible to make use of them in real situations from 2020. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Moving on to some sporting news now. Korean golfer Jang Ha-na danced her way to victory at the HSBC Women's Champions Tournament in Singapore on Sunday. She shot a brilliant final round of 7 under to finish the event at 19 under. Pornanyong Phatnum of Thailand was second, trailed closely by Korea's Amy Young. The 23-year-old Jang ended the day with a stunning eagle on the par 5 18th. She spiced up the highlight reel with a celebratory jig, apparently inspired by Beyoncé's Single Ladies. In only her second year on the LPGA Tour, Jang is gaining greater recognition not only for her impressive games, but also for her elaborate victory ceremonies. After a maiden win in Florida last month, she celebrated by wielding her putter like a swordsman. And now for a look at the weather before we go. Yellow dust advisories were issued on Sunday but was lifted with the air quality having improved late evening in Korea. But experts say people here should still wear a mask in the coming days as there will still be some level of yellow dust hanging around through the early part of the week. Residents are also advised to avoid leaving their windows open. On Monday, Seoul will start out the day at 3 degrees Celsius, Daegu will be at 5 and Busan 9. The mercury will then climb to 16 in Seoul, 19 in Daegu and 17 in Busan. And now let's check out the weather conditions around the world. That's all from us for this hour. As always, thank you for watching.